भवदुःखसतानि तरतु कामैः अपि सत्त्वव्यसनानि हर्तु कामैः बहुसौख्यसतानि भोक्तु कामैर्न विमोच्यं हि सदैव बोधिचित्तम् भवचारकबन्धनो वराकः सुगतानां सुत उच्यते क्षणेन स नरामरलोकवन्दनीयो भवति स्मोदित एव बोधिचित्ते अशुचिप्रतिमामिमां गृहीत्वा जिनरत्नप्रतिमां करोत्यनर्घां रसजातमतीव वेदनीयं सुदृढं गृह्णत बोधिचित्तसंज्ञम्.
Hello everybody, I hope you can hear me well. I just want to wish everybody a very, very warm welcome to the Khyentse Vision Project. This is a very special week for us because we are not only celebrating the anniversary of Khyentse Wangpo, but also we're celebrating the publication of our first 21 translations. So the Khyentse Vision Project the whole team has been very, very busy over the last year and a half to get these translations ready so that we're able to share them with you right now. So it's a very exciting time for us, and we hope that you are all aware of our website, which is khyentsevision.org. And if you go there, you'll see a new page, which is our translations page. And on there, you'll find each day during this week, we're going to be publishing at least 3 of our translations every day. So keep checking it, and please read these wonderful texts by Khyentse Wangpo and give us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Christian Berner. But before I do that, I'd like to make sure that anybody who needs interpretation, whether it's Spanish or Portuguese, please, please, please go to the globe where it says interpretation, click on it, and you'll be able to choose the language that you need. So thanks very much, and everybody, please enjoy Tulku Rinpoche's talk, and please be in touch with us. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Am I audible? Okay. So hi everyone. I'm very, very happy to be here. My name is Christian Bernert, and I'm a translator for the Khyentse Vision Project. So today it is my great pleasure to introduce and to welcome Tulku Rinpoche for his talk today. And before I do that, I would like to welcome everyone, wherever you are now following this live stream on Zoom or on YouTube. It's really, really wonderful that so many people from all over the world could join this this very auspicious opening event today. Tulku Rinpoche is going to teach today on a short poem by Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo, which teaches basically the philosophical tenets of Buddhism. And you will see it's a short text, but it's very, very beautiful and very profound and dense. So I'm very excited to hear Tulku Rinpoche's presentation on it. If you have any questions on the teaching, on the text, or on the translation, you are welcome to pose these questions in the Q&A box. That should be, if you're following on Zoom, at the bottom of your screen. There's a Q&A button, so you click that, and there you can ask your question there. And if you are following on YouTube, there is the chat function for that. So the team will monitor these 2 boxes and then curate some questions, and in the end I will receive these questions, and some of the questions, depending on the time, then will be asked. to Tulku Rinpoche, and if you have any general questions about the Khyentse Vision Project, you're also welcome to ask those, and we will also forward them to Dolma to answer. So I wanted to introduce Tulku Rinpoche for those of you who have not had the fortune and the luck to meet him or to receive teachings from him. Tulku Rinpoche was recognized by His Holiness Sakya Gongma Rinpoche, and he was recognized as the incarnation, the Tulku of Rakchul Rinpoche. That is a line of incarnation that goes back to the first Rakchul from the Doteng monastery in Kham, eastern Tibet. Rinpoche then received his scholastic and monastic training in Bir in the Dzongsa Shedra, the Dzongsa Khyentse Chokyi Lodro Institute in Himachal Pradesh. And he received many empowerments, transmissions and teachings from His Holiness Gongma Sakya Chichen Rinpoche, from His Holiness the Dalai Lama, from His Holiness Dakchen Rinpoche, of course from Dzongsa Khyentse Rinpoche, Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk, Luding Khen Rinpoche, and many other teachers. And now Tulku Rinpoche lives as a lay practitioner with his family in Germany, in Windeck, where he is the resident Lama of the Arya Taras Net, and that's a Dharma Center for Buddhist Studies and Practice, and also an online community. And from there he teaches, and he also travels to other Dharma centers to teach and spread the Dharma in this way. And on top of that, he is also working as a translator for the Khyentse Vision Project and also as a consultant and Himalayan scholar. And it is in this function that I have had the fortune to work together with Tulku Rinpoche, and in particular working on the translation of this poem by Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo that Rinpoche will teach on. And so with this, I'm very happy to hand over to Tulku Rinpoche for his talk.
Lasso Tujiche Dalmala and Christian Bennett. So Tashidele, and yeah, first of all, I would really like to congratulate Gunther and all the members of Khyentse Vision Project for the publication of these 21 texts composed by Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo. Yeah. Kaje Zerjo Raja Rabin Mandara Nalajin Jinta Dingin Rujim Bazes on Nebelunum Kainda, Kanjer and Pajaraja of the Gavari Bazin Bakaimba. The Tamja Tarba Tambegu to be soon engineer Drishe, Ladanam Miem, Ombodan, Jajin Las Chuji Chola Chavajaban, Sangesung Rabdushin David Jurujur. Yadaji Dambejin engineer Drishe, Kanda Chuju Tongajikana, the Jolomar Jurbakan, so that thing the temperature Chabuk. Number the bottom Jidrish, Namo like the Ludaniji, Dum Dadami, Janam Don, Gujidanam Chisambar. Come Jiketo, Taki, then the Paltins of Lamarumboje, the Jordan, the Junan, Cordon Chebagon, and Jason the Kuzum to Jim Saltos. Taki Tuji, Shaki Risutum, Shinjin to Jibunjum. Sergio Lombo Davrajive, Shaji Jabe Shabla Chapsa, Chapton, Kolojibe Javon, Chino Kapasamba Sang, Mongana County Tella, then Batsumba Cherizella, Chazolo Seji Java, Tamji, Shipum, Chip, the Basiji Punji Pajre. Jambeyan La Chazolo Kanji Tony Shinji, Ponyalas, Dawanam Tony, Chojer Jebe, Doji, La Chapsa, Corwal, the Tarema, to the Raji. Tureno Nomno Mayum La Chatsa, Shejatam Jessica, Logunjel to be two judges. Some Elizabeth Tomo, Jangula measure of Jatam Jessica, but Dogunjel to be two changes. Some Elizabeth Tomo, Jangula measure of Jatam Jessica, but Dogunjel to be two judges. Some Elizabeth Tomo, Jangula measure of Gojata, so Depsalama, Khyentse Jesus Shalama, Khyentse. 신지 Lama Khyentse Tengmen Kao Lama Khyentse Wa Suldrisina Lama Khyentse Tukji Lama Khyentse Channel Lama Khyentse Di Channel Chinda Terjen Daniel Lama Jambal Di Channel Chogu Tala Ningi Kolo Namsam Kange Chadang So Nisem Taji Tambeng Meba Tegun Gombe Suzuji Jasu Tu Nantra Sabdin Jachi Tala Nirzol Zu Yabjing Lashem Tala Rewan Machi Kanyanta Ninsem Kundu Jamyang Khyentse Samjang Cheji Tuji Shu Chungse Menye Menje Sungi Rangini Bele Bese Tatung Kyenye Majuro Do Caption Solwar Majuro Chi Hong Uji Jinam Jansam Pema Kezaro Dombola Yansen Chogi Ngolo Pema Jung Neshe Kordo Kandre Mambo Gorchi Jiso Ta Dubji Jinji Lobjir Shiksu Song Guru Pema Sidi Kusum Lama Sojidoji Tala Chukmo Munjing Drop Saldo Jirumbo Jela Zo Dem Kajem Barjim Tunjin Samba Droba Na Chodan Tomo Drop Saldo Oh, last Tashi Tilek. Today, with the beginning of Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo's anniversary celebration, we are going to study a very short text composed by Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo on the different tenet system of Buddha Dharma. Khyentse Wangpo, I'm sure most of us are very familiar with Khyentse Wangpo, but since in Buddha Dharma, especially in this type of context, it is important to know the author. So I would like to say just a few words in brief introduction of Khyentse Wangpo, as if he needs that here. But Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo, the name itself suggests Khyentse Wangpo means Lord of Compassion and Wisdom. And he was born in Tibet in 1820. So that's more than 200 years ago now. When we go through his activities and his biographies, it really feels like as if all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they have decided to manifest in one form. Blessed time and again by none other than Padmasambhava himself in many past lives and also in this life. And believed to be, or maybe I should say prophesied to be, emanation of Vimalamitra himself. Initially, Rinpoche was recognized as the reincarnation of the great Ngor Tarse Khenchen, Champan Namkachime. It's a teacher of his teacher. So he was recognized as that, and he was brought to Ngor, and they, he was known as Ngor Tarse Jabdung during those days. But as per his aspirations and intention, he soon branched beyond his initial tradition, traveling all over Tibet as a wandering yogi, meeting around 150 teachers. And he gathered such vast learning that is unheard of. No one has heard such a thing, even in India. And not only that, all of the teachings that he had received, he have practiced them. himself. And he basically taught the Tibetans how to be non-sectarian, how to be unbiased, and maybe that was too strong a word, but yeah, basically he started the revolution of non-sectarianism. His importance and influence in the restoration, preservation, and propagation of so many practice lineages, especially that of Sakya, Kagyu, and Nyingma. It's unprecedented. And it will be very clear to you if you would only open different practice manuals of these traditions, and you will find Khyentse Wangpo as one of the lineage masters. Everywhere, you cannot escape Khyentse Wangpo. So kindness alone, so this is definitely due to his one-pointed devotion and concern for Buddha Dharma, not only in that life, but not only in this life, but for many, many, many previous lives also. When I read through his biography, and we are told that for 13 years he traveled all over Tibet, walking all over Tibet and seeking out teachings and teachers. It really reminds us of Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo, his previous incarnation. One of his previous incarnation, a great Lamde master, student of Sarchen. I'm sorry to the translators if there's a lot of names, but I just want to mention it. And during that life too, he traveled all over Tibet, looking for rare and lost scriptures. And many times he would have to stop because his feet would be completely covered in blisters. So yeah, it's unimaginable kindness for the Dharma and practitioners, really. It is said that he had received teachings on about 700 volumes, and he said, and he in his life, in that very life, he taught most of those teachings to others, to a point that they got tired of him. He said, that I have taught most of these. And upon that, he has so many of his own teachings. He was one of the Tertun king, one of the 5 Tertun kings. So he had his own, teachings to give to his disciples. Anyway, so his wisdom, compassion continues to this day. We have had since then so many Khyentse incarnation, and even to this day we have so many Khyentse Rinpoches who are really continuing the glorious activities of their predecessor. And we are so fortunate that we got to be alive during such a time, that we could witness such a thing. Just want to say that. So that is our author. Text itself, it's very short, but it's really, really condensed. Song of the Joyful Cuckoo, verses on the Tenets by Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo. And this is translated by none other than Christian Bennett, the the wonderfully handsome man who introduced me, he's the translator. So if you have, should you have question about the translation, any problem, you can talk to him. He's the culprit. So let's go into the text. The first stanza, the wisdom roar, the voice of non-dual speech is free of wailing words and in all aspects complete. As such, it has the ability to resonate in tune with disciples' minds. May you now and forever be blessed by these means. So the first stanza is basically Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo invoking the blessing of speech of the enlightened minds, Buddha, speech of the Buddhas, speech of the Bodhisattvas, where he says that the innate sound of wisdom is, it teaches non-dual nature of phenomena. Maybe I don't go into each word, but anyway, as you can see, it's so wonderfully translated, and it is free of wailing words, and in all aspects complete. Yes, when ordinary beings teach, we teach using languages and conceptual constructs, whereas the wisdom mind does not depend on such dualistic tools. So that's what he says. So to, how to say, and because of that, it has the ability to give teaching according to vast number of disciples, exactly what they need, exactly during the time they need it. So may you now and forever be blessed by this means. He is then invoking the blessing of the Buddha's words, and he's basically saying, may it bring you benefit and auspiciousness. Now, the actual text starts from the second stanza. Before that, I would really like you to look into the introduction. There, Christian Bennett, he has quoted, some 2 stanzas from He Vajra Tantra, and it's somewhat important here. It's actually quite important here. The whole structure of this text seemed to have been derived from this portion of the Tantra. So usually Tantra teaches that there are 2 types of disciples: those who do not need elaborate teachings, like when Virupa gave initiation to Dombi Heruka. Right that moment, Dombi Heruka became liberated. So Virupa didn't need to waste one word to introduce anything. He didn't need to do anything. So that is an example of students of best faculty. Then there are others who need introduction. And within those, there are those, again, who are better. Okay, then again, there are 2 types. Sorry to do this. There are 2 types. Those who needs introduction, but who do not need elaborate introduction. You just need to introduce the view of Vajrayana, the view of Madhyamaka, and that's enough. And then those who need to be led, from the beginning, giving refuge to, each philosophical school's views of each philosophical school, and then finally to the Vajrayana instruction. So within these 2, the first one, those who need instructions but not elaborate ones. This is the first one. How to say this? Second stanza is for those. Belief in a self, both acquired and innate, is but a baseless delusion, for it is neither one nor many. May the light of this awareness banish the darkness at the root of all flaws. Such a person is someone with immense merit and someone who is quite mature. Hence, teachers do not need to give elaborate explanation. They can just directly go to the view of Madhyamaka. And here he says that sentient beings have two types of self-grasping. One that is innate meaning they are born with it. We have it. We cannot, we cannot get rid of it by reading something or understanding something. It doesn't work like that. It can only be removed when you gain direct insight into emptiness, selflessness. Until and unless then, you will have self-grasping. You cannot, to a point that you cannot separate yourself from such grasping. So this is innate self-grasping that all beings have. Humans, non-humans, doesn't matter. Everybody has this innate self-grasping. Then the second type is the acquired one, where this is the type of self-grasping where you give it a definition. So previously, when a cow or a buffalo have such a grasping of myself, there is no philosophy behind it. There is no definition, no reason behind it. They just have it. Whereas this one, you think about what you analyze the self. You think about the self, then you get to a conclusion. So self, this type of self. So some say it is the mind, some say it is the body. So whatever conclusion you reach upon, that, as long as you believe it exists, it becomes an acquired self-grasping. So Khyentse Wangpo said, regardless whether it is whether the self that one grasps upon is acquired or innate, it is but a baseless delusion. For when you analyze, is it one or many, you find that it is neither one nor many. If it exists, it has to be either one of those, but they are not. It is not. So this understanding is the light of awareness. This understanding. So he says, may the light of this awareness banish the darkness at the root of all flaws. So this grasping is the root of samsara. And it is like a darkness. So then the wisdom is like a light that get rid, rid us of such darkness. So for fortunate ones, this much introduction is enough. And then the master can proceed to Vajrayana, whatever path that they want to introduce. Now begins the other type of students who really needs to be led through myriad views. And yeah, as you can read in the introduction, the Vajradhara says, first you should give them sojong, which is basically refuge, and then vows to keep for a day or two. And then slowly you give them upasaka vow. And then like this, so when they have discipline, then you start teaching them view of Vibashika school, Sautantrika school, Chitamatra school, Madhyamaka school. And when that is done, then you introduce them the different stages of the tantric, different stages of tantra, I should say. And then finally teach them He Vajra. So He Vajra here is, it represents the highest tantric teaching. It's Anuttara. So now, I used to think when I read this many years ago, actually, I used to think that do teachers really train their student in Vibashika first and then Sautantrika, because Vibashika school, as wonderful as they may have been, from the viewpoint of Madhyamaka, is just full of mistaken views. So I used to think that why do we need to learn all these mistaken views to get there? And apparently, when you look at how Khyentse Wangpo introduces Vibashika Sautantrika, it is wonderful. He basically ignores all the sort of the mistaken parts of the Vibashika school and only point to what is most important, what is most needed for the disciple. And that is the view and understanding of the ultimate truth and the relative truth, their nature, what they are. So here, okay, let me just go stick to my notes. So then, third stanza, I think. In the beginning, may the door of intelligence be opened with ease to access the modes of the two realities, designating the smallest spatial extension of objects as particles and the shortest moments of the subject as cognitions. Okay, this one. So, like I said, Vibashika school, there are basically 18 different types of them, actually. And they just vary their view, philosophical stance vary, slightly. And ignoring all that, Khyentse Wangpo just mentions to their teaching of what is the ultimate truth and what is relative truth. So, in the Abhidharma, Vasubandhu teaches us that according to Vibashika school, that which can be destroyed, physically destroyed, or mentally dismantled is relative truth. Okay, it's not so difficult, right? So that which can be physically destroyed, mentally dismantled is relative truth. Like this cup will become a relative truth because you can break it. So it's not in its sort of reality, which is its finality. It's not. So you can break it and make it smaller and smaller and smaller. Similarly, so also then you can, mentally dismantle something. Again, it's not ultimate truth. It is relative. So then the ultimate truth, obviously, then becomes the opposite of that. That which cannot be destroyed physically, or that which cannot be dismantled physically or through mental inspection, that becomes ultimate truth. So here, then Khyentse Wangpo says that that by knowing, according to Vibashika school, this school analyzes the form, like this house, this room, you, me, our physical form, and they find that it can be dismantled. And then when they do so, they reach a point. They reach a point where they all agree that, okay, it cannot be dismantled any further. It is, yes, it is an atom. It is a, what is it? Unbreakable, indivisible atom. Exactly that, indivisible particle, actually. Similarly, mind. They analyze the mind and they find that mind exists in 3 times, past, present, and future. And each each sort of, and the present can only be momentarily, just momentarily. So when they analyze, they find the smallest limit of time, and they say, this cannot be broken down further. Like you can break a day into 24 hours and then minutes and seconds, but at some point they say, okay, we cannot break this in further. This is it. This is real. So by doing so, they reach to a point where it made them believe that these are the building block of everything. These are the building block of mind. This is the building block of our mind. This is the building block of our world. So yes, particle and shortest moment of subject, which is mind, cognition. Now, ultimately, this is mistaken, according to Madhyamaka view. But for the beginning, like he says, in the beginning, this is like first opening of the door. Before this, we don't even know what is ultimate, what is relative truth, but this teaches us that appearance and reality may be very different. So it's good for the disciple to learn this, to get into it. So he says that in the beginning, may the door of intelligence be opened with ease to access the modes of true reality. That oh, this one. And the next stanza. Please note that I am. We are going through entire school in one stanza each. Yeah. So the next one. But this is so wonderful, and I really hope you can appreciate how beautifully this is done. Then the second one is Sautantrika. The next stanza is for Sautantrika school. Now the Vibashika school was, they believe mind and subject and object completely separate. They exist separately. They do not depend on each other per se. Then comes the Sautantrika school. Okay, let me not use a lot of words. Skilled in distinguishing all phenomena in terms of their relative and ultimate nature on the basis of the generally characterized phenomena of appearing objects and the specifically characterized phenomena of direct perception made the lotus of reason smile in full bloom. This is in reference to the view of Sautantrika school. With the previous school, it's quite vague, and they say things like time exists, all three different time exist, and the space exists, nothingness. Like it's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of jumble of things. Whereas here it becomes quite clearer now. This school, they're not Madhyamaka, they still believe in true existence of phenomena, but only of those phenomena that comes from a causes and condition. Only of those phenomena that has a functionality, that can do something, So yes, although ultimately it will be not a proper view, but it is extremely useful and important for us in understanding the workings of our mind and phenomena. All the Pramana teachings, yes, belong to this school. You might have heard of Pramana teachings, you may have studied yourself. So all of those belong to this school, and it's just wonderful. You should really study those. It's wonderful. So basically what he is saying is what appears to a conceptual mind. Conceptual mind basically means thought. Mind with thought or thought process, basically thoughts. When you're thinking, that's a conceptual mind. So whatever that appears to a conceptual mind, it doesn't exist outside. It is a mental image. So a name is given generally characterized phenomena. So, okay, what it means is like the idea of tree. You know, when you think of tree, when I say, oh, trees are beautiful, I love trees, you have an image in your mind of something green, you know, branches, you know, there's nothing particular, like no mango, nothing, but just some tree, right? Exactly. That is a generally characterized phenomena. And it is an appearing object, meaning it appears only to a conceptual mind, meaning it cannot be seen, it cannot be touched, heard. So it's not there outside. Such a tree do not exist. But, you know, they're useful for understanding communication without such mistaken without such confusion. We cannot communicate. We need this. But it is still, nevertheless, still mistaken. So that, and then anything that comes from causes and condition can be directly experienced, either through our faculties, eyes, ears, nose. If it really exists, it can be directly perceived, not necessarily by you and me, but by someone, has to be, or by a yogic meditation, yogic direct cognition, realization, what we call realization, that's what it means. And so those phenomena, they are called specifically characterized phenomena. Okay, that would be, for an example, a tree that is in front of me. Now that is specific. It's not a mental phenomena. It's there, so to speak. I can touch it, you know, I can hug it if I want, you know, it's there. So that is a specifically characterized phenomenon. So this is a difference between these two phenomena, that one is a mental object, it doesn't exist, it's a mental creation, and the other one, it's really there. According to the school, it's really there. Again, ultimately, it would be mistaken to say it is really there. But if you remove their belief of these phenomena to be truly existent, the logic, the reasoning is really good. That's why in the monastery we studied this for years, the pramana. So all that is in this. So now previously the student only learns that you know, that ultimately what is it, the partless particle and the indivisible mind truly exists, right? But then together with that, there is a lot of baggage from the Vibashika school. Now here a lot is cut. Here it says only that which comes from causes and condition truly exists, not the rest. The rest are mental fabrication. Then after that is Chitamatra school now. May you approach the path of the supreme vehicle by establishing outer phenomena as images painted by the mind, just like the appearance of objects in a dream, and settling this mind itself in non-dual pristine awareness. So now Vibashika, so the previous stanza or the previous school, which is Sautantrika school, it shows that half of the phenomena that we believe to be existent is mental creation, right? Half of the phenomena of external world or whatever is mental creation. Here, with the Chitamatra school, the mind-only school, it goes much further, where they say that all appearance, all form, you know, they are like objects in a dream. They do not exist anywhere. When I dream of something, During my dream, it didn't exist anywhere. After I wake up, it doesn't exist anywhere. It was just experience, and that's all. So they say, so Chitamatra teacher teaches us that just like that, as dream is caused by sleep and experience during daytime, similarly, the appearance of this world, all the form, it is caused by ignorance and karmic seed that is upon our mind through various many lifetimes. We have accumulated so many karma, so they remain within our mind like a seed in a barrel, and one by one they sort of, or many together, they give rise to results. And all this appearance is from that. Very much like how we understand like a memory card. You don't see any picture and video, right? Especially like me, I'm so stupid. So I thought, wow, this really is like how they explain the mind to be, that you cannot really experience the karma, see it, touch it, but it is there. And when the causes and conditions are complete, the appearance will appear like that. So how do they know that external form do not truly exist? Then people like the great Vasubandhu, he argues that there cannot be such a phenomenon called a partless particle. And I do not think I should go into the details here right now, but that is such a good, way before some scientists through, he shot something into the nucleus of the atom and he found, right, that, okay, it's not really indivisible, divisible. Way before that, Vasubandhu already said there cannot be an indivisible particle. It's impossible. And the logic, the reasoning is really so good. There's no space for anything to go in and out. It's so good. You should really pay attention to that. It could really help you. But this statement is based on such, realization that the form, when you analyze, they do not exist anywhere. Yet you see them, you touch them, you feel them. You can lick the wall. So how does all that happen? It says, exactly like dream. The real culprit then is the mind, because throughout you are conscious, consciousness is there. So it is the mind that is doing all this. So Chitamatra, true, we have many different schools, and this stanza is kind of general of both the schools. It's just, he just presents it generally, and he says that, seeing that external phenomena, they're like dream object and not truly existing. And so mind also, one should rest the mind into, what is the translation here? Itself in non-dual pristine awareness. That the yogi does so, yogini does so by knowing that upon the mind, form do not exist. When the form do not exist, the grasping of such a form also do not exist. So mind ultimately is beyond subject and object. So that's what it means, non-dual pristine awareness. Even so, the school will maintain that this type of non-dual pristine awareness is truly existent. That's why they're not Madhyamaka. They're Mahayana school, but they're not the middle path. They do not have the middle view. Then the last one now. I think we're good on time. The last one now, the last one is the Madhyamaka. How wonderful. On the level of appearance, things arise in dependence. Their true nature is beyond all elaboration. by realizing both to be in union without contradiction, may the inconceivable dimension be fully revealed. You can see that now the author has reached to a view that he agrees upon. How wonderful, Emma. Okay, so how to again, Madhyamaka we have so many different schools of Madhyamaka, but regardless of their differences, slight differences between them, none of these Madhyamaka school will believe in a true existence anywhere, during any time, in any way. There cannot be a truly existing phenomena. So in this way, they are all same. But then, do they not believe in anything? Is there nothing in the Madhyamaka tradition? No, of course not. Appearance is, appearance appear. I'm not even going to say appearance is there. I'm saying appearance appear, experiences arise. And that, that is why the Madhyamaka view is not a nihilistic view. Now, these appearances that appear, experiences that arise, do they truly exist? No. So then, how does that happen? What, why do they appear? So here, Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo says that they arise because of dependent origination. They depend on each other to be like when, in those old school scales, when you scale, you put a weight on one side and then the object on another side to scale them. Yes, these both sides, one that goes up and goes down, they depend on each other. And since we are so stupid, it looks like it's happening at the same time, that they are depending on each other at the same time. Similar to that, everything is like that, says our teacher, that they barely, the left depend on the right depend on the left, here depend on there depend on here, good and bad, up and down, big, small, all the way to more subtle. What is more subtle? Cause and effect. Cause depend on effect. Effect depend on cause. Like that. Time, everything is dependent origination. Hence, nothing truly exists. But they appear. Appearance do not cease. So he says, to understand that relatively appearances, they arise out of dependent origination, and ultimately the nature of these appearance is beyond any beyond any fabrication, beyond any extremes. Yeah, so these two, and these two, now all the previous schools, the ultimate truth and relative truth, they're almost like a wall and a hammer. Relative truth is like a wall, and you break it with the hammer of ultimate truth. Not here anymore. Here, the ultimate truth and the relative truth has to be in union, inseparable. It's wrong to say they're one, but they're also not two. Even saying they is wrong. Like Khyentse Wangpo says, you kind of need a couple of mouths when you want to talk upon these things, yes, so their union. And when a practitioner recognizes that, focus on that, meditate on that, the inconceivable dimension will be fully revealed. Inconceivable dimension is the activity of Buddha, right? The activity of Buddha is inconceivable, body, speech, and mind, and may that be fully revealed. Praise Khyentse Wangpo for us. Then there. Now, so these are the sutra schools, sutra part of Buddhist schools. Then the last stanza is for it's like a summary of Vajrayana, the Tantra tradition, without really going into any detail. And I really like that when I saw it. It's so skillful, yeah. Then he says, Tetse, when we have Tetse, right? So then only through the luminosity of the indivisibility of samsara and nirvana, brought forth by blissful means, joined inseparably with the non-dual illusory body of the deity, may the deathless and sublime eternal state be actualized. Now this is where Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo wishes to lead his disciples, wishes to lead us ultimately to this state, to this teaching. Well, he doesn't really mention the other sort of stages of Tantra, let's just say. Like we have, what is the first? Kriya Tantra, then Charya Tantra, then Yoga Tantra. So this is Mahayoga Tantra or Anuttara Tantra, right? The highest that speaks of such indivisibility or inseparability of wisdom and body. So such a luminosity is the wisdom. And ordinarily, in the sutra path, it is very difficult. It takes so long to generate such a wisdom. For example, you experience, such a luminosity after many life of practice of discipline, meditation. No, what is it? Yeah, after practicing of many lifetimes of purification and accumulation, finally, when you reach the first bhumi, that is the first time you get a direct glimpse of it. That is the one countless aeon. They're talking about one countless aeon. I really hope you think about this. One countless aeon. It is so many that they just named the number countless. It is actually a number. It's not really countless, but it is a number, but it is just so large that they just named it countless. So one countless aeon it takes for someone, if you're really diligent on the sutra path, to see the luminosity, to see the wisdom, Buddha nature, to reach the first bhumi. Whereas in the Vajrayana, when you meet the right teacher, when you have devotion, when you are ready, such a luminosity, you can have a glimpse of it, direct glimpse of it. While you are ordinary being, you don't become a Bodhisattva. You don't reach bhumi just by seeing it in Vajrayana. It's a very different method, right? So, but while you're ordinary being, you can have a glimpse of it, and that glimpse, that wisdom, luminosity, is brought forth not through a lot of practice. Not through this arduous and long path of sutra, which is very difficult. Rather, through blissful means. blissful means. That type of wisdom, then together with the illusory non-dual body of the deity, that whatever mandala you raise, that whatever, these recognizing, knowing that they are inseparable, through such a wisdom, through such a practice, inseparability. Yes, may the deathless, sublime, eternal state be reached or actualized. That was my feeble attempt to try to talk about this text. It's really, I'm sure you can notice it's such a masterpiece, and yeah, I'm so happy that I was asked to talk for Khyentse Vision Project, and I talked with Kristen Bennett, who is the translator, and we thought maybe this text is really good because it's just so complete, yet so it's really good. It is the okay, better not use inauspicious example, but this is really good. So I hope it benefits you as it does me. Anyway, so if you have questions, I think you can type them in, and then the translator will, Kristen Bennett will, decide which ones to let in.
All right. Thank you so much, Rinpoche, for this pretty outstanding job of trying to explain these so many layers of teaching, really so vast, but in such a clear way. Thank you very much. It was really wonderful. So we do have a number of questions, and I'm trying to relate them to you in the order of the poem. So starting with the Vibashika and then going up to Madhyamaka. So one question by Sue Jollo. I hope I pronounced the names correctly. Forgive me if I don't. The question relates to mind as opposed to material phenomena. So you talked about the causes and conditions of material phenomena that characterizes real objects. But what about the causes and conditions of the mind? Could you talk a little bit about that? What are causes and conditions for the mind or for mental phenomena?
According to Vibashika school?
That was not specified, but let's start there. Yes, I would say.
Did I say that? Okay. So, sorry. So what are the causes and conditions for mind to create, right?
Or for the mind to be there at all. Any moment.
Oh, the previous mind. Just that. That's why you cannot get rid of it. It's like anything else. You need to have a lot of causes and conditions, like this wall and you and me, table, whatever. But mind, it comes with its own protection, so to speak. Present mind comes from previous mind. Previous mind comes from the previous mind. And so it goes. It does not need necessarily external causes and conditions to exist. It's just its previous cause, its previous existence, its cause, and that's enough. And that is supposed to be the only phenomena in existence. Just the mind itself. But of course, happiness and joy, this rough expression of mind depend on a lot of causes and conditions, right? So I guess these are your answer. What makes mind exist? Yeah.
Right. So I can see actually there's people responding to your reply, but I think that will be included in a later point, in a later question about the the nature of the mind from the higher perspectives. So another question is about perception.
Okay.
You talked about two types of perception, mainly conceptual perception, and then the non-conceptual perception, direct perception. And then there's the question of, you also mentioned a third type, which is yogic perception. So where does this belong? What is the nature of yogic perception?
I was very careful not to use perception, and I used cognition. But
that's my mistake.
I'm just nitpicking.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, but with the pramana, it's kind of have to, you know. But anyway, so yogic direct cognition, right? That one is basically the when someone gains realization, that realization is called yogic direct cognition. When someone sees the emptiness, let's say, emptiness or Buddha nature for the directly, that seeing is called wisdom, yogic direct cognition, whatever. I mean, it's one of it. Yeah. If you want
that's a direct form of cognition.
Yes. It's also a direct cognition, but for us, it's kind of, it's a bit far away, you know. So, but yeah, from the Four Noble Truths, it is the truth of the path, you know, right? So we are still in the truth of suffering and the cause of suffering, but of course, something to aspire to go towards is that, yeah.
And it's clearly differentiated from conceptual.
Oh yes,
perception.
there's no thought, of course not. There's a conceptual process, no. And it also doesn't depend on faculties like eyes and ears, so it's also not sensory cognition. Yeah.
And I forgot to mention, this question came from Mello.
Okay.
And then we have a question from Jonathan Locke. Could you talk a little bit, that's still related to the second tenet, a little bit about the Sautantrika tenet or the Sautantrika view and how it is different from the other tenets?
Oh, wow.
In one sentence.
In one sentence.
No.
What did I do? What did I do to you? Wait. Well, it is. It's not under this name. There are different schools again. Those who strictly follow the teachings of the Buddhas and sutras, and whatever reason there, and then those who follow reasoning. So we have those who follow reasoning. We have teachers like Dignaga, Dharmakirti, and like I said, the hype, sort of the main point of the school is that if it functions, if it has a functionality, it has to come from a cause. The object has to come from a cause and condition, and it truly exists. That's it, you know. And by doing so, they really cut a lot of misunderstanding that is generated by the previous school, who have a lot. I mean, if you ever get to study that, you will understand. And also this school developed, or rather I should say polished, the pramana methods, you know, like how to analyze, how to be unbiased. You really have to learn how to be unbiased, really. It's only when you study pramana, I think something like pramana, you really realize how biased you were before. So yeah, all that, this school really polished and brought into Buddhism, Indian sort of Buddhist traditions. And thanks to this school, Buddha Dhamma still exists. They were the protector. Whoever you are, Mahayana or Sravaka, we all owe a lot to this school. Yeah.
Great, thank you. So let's move on to the tenets of the Mahayana tradition.
Okay.
And so there are two questions. One was given by Kencho and the other by Philippe Turenne from our team. And I think we can kind of merge these two questions. When we talk about the mind, it seems that in the when we talk about the mind in the Chitamatra context, it seems to be very similar to what sometimes is called the soul or the Atman in the Vedanta tradition. So how do these two concepts really differ in these two traditions? Why is the soul or the Atman not the same as the mind according to Chitamatra?
Okay, soul, I think probably coming from Christian traditions, and I'm not sure if they have a specific definition, they have the habit of giving a specific definition of like soul, what the soul is, and that's it. It cannot be more than that. It has to be that, like the Indians do. So it's so difficult to argue with that. But ultimately, I think it has to do with the creation of a creator, right? So just from the get-go, it's different, very different. And it has to go from this life to the next. Chitamatra will never say that the mind will travel from this life to the next. They will only say that the last moment of this life's mind will give result through a next type of mind. That's all. Then same goes with Atman. Created by a creator, right? And permanent. So very different from Chitamatra, very different. The only thing with Chitamatrans is that they believe that the mind truly exists. But they don't believe that mind is permanent. They don't believe that mind travels from one moment to the next. There's a huge gap, of course.
So that's a very interesting point you just made. You said that they believe it truly exists, but they would never say that it is permanent. So could you elaborate a little bit on that point?
Well, I mean, they have to believe that all compounded things are impermanent. Mind is a compounded phenomenon, right? For example, they say that you can leave karmic imprints on the mind. So obviously, they do not think that mind is this phenomena that you cannot do anything with. It is all, and they also believe that it is impermanent in a sense. It changes moment to moment, right? Chitamatra. So,
and yet it truly exists.
Your debate is not with me, then it's with them.
So how do they argue that? How would they argue that it does exist truly?
Huh?
How, if it's impermanent, how is it established as truly existent?
Okay. I do not remember an argument right now like that. I can say like that's how they say. But yeah, you should definitely, if you want to look into it, please do. We have very little. Also, another problem is we have very little knowledge of the Chitamatra school. Mm-hmm. There's literally only few texts that was ever translated into Tibetan that supposedly belongs to the Chitamatra school, like Sutra Alankara from Maitreya. Maybe start with that. And what they say is what I said before, is mind is truly existing because anytime you observe an object, mind is also there. They say, because it is guaranteed that when you observe something, anything, you will also observe the mind that observes that. That's how it is always there in that sense, but not always there in the sense of a permanent that doesn't move, not at all. But anyway, this will, yeah.
So in the sense that there has to be a basis for all of the appearances in that sense.
Ultimately, yes, but of course, if they would just say that sounds very weak, like a weak argument. But we would like to say that, of course, our vantage point.
Well, then let's continue on that. The next would be a question by Melinda Edward. Because if we say that the Chitamatra has a weak argument, of course, from the Madhyamaka point of view, that's very true, because they would refute these ideas. And so that question by Melinda is, if appearances appear, so we accept appearances, but we say they don't truly exist, how is this different from a form of nihilism? Why is this view not a nihilistic view?
What would we call a nihilistic view? What is a nihilistic view, right? So usually those who either believe that nothing makes sense, nothing, it's nothingness, and to be honest, that doesn't sound so intelligent. It feels like if you ask few questions, it might break apart, really. But then there are others who believe that, okay, this life this is it exists, but after this, there's nothing. I like that type of nihilism, bit more intelligent in a very how in my simple mind, I see. But anyway, whatever the case, so, and of course, the nihilistic views, it's, I don't think a nihilistic tradition will say that if you accumulate bad karma, you will get bad result. I don't think nihilistic tradition will say that, if you're not careful, you will have a bad rebirth. Or a nihilistic tradition will talk about wisdom, compassion of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. There's nothing nihilistic about it, isn't it? So all the compassion, the vow of Bodhisattva, I will liberate all sentient beings, all that is far from nihilism. But nothing truly exists. Isn't it?
So that's somehow the, how would you say, the paradox of this Madhyamaka view, isn't it?
It's just the paradox of, well, the paradox didn't happen because of some Madhyamaka person create such a thing. It's because of how things actually are. Suppose it. I mean, phenomena, by their nature, because if there is something, someone should find. After thousands of years, someone should find something, right? But the words of Buddha still remains unchallenged. All phenomena is, without a true existence. So when you look, you do not find anything. That is sort of a part of the reality. Yet experience arise uninterruptedly. And it's not so chaotic also. One would expect that, that's why it's not nihilist tradition actually, that yes, nothing truly exists, yes, experience arise. Then one would think, oh, like Khyentse Wangpo says, then one would think, when I look into the mirror, sometimes I should see, what does it say? Banana, something like that. But no, I will always see my face though. And this is just, it's together. cannot have one without the other. Yes, I don't know.
Well, great. There is one question, and I think it would be, I don't know, Dolma, shall we soon finish the question and answer, or do you want to go on for a while?
I think we should wrap it up soon. I think we've got about maybe four more minutes of questions, and then we can wrap it up.
Okay. All right. So then there is one question that is kind of binding together these two last tenets of the Chitamatra and the Madhyamaka. And there's different questions by different participants here. One was asked by Kache, maybe, and the other one by Adam Kane. And both relate to Chitamatra and Madhyamaka. So one was asking, could you highlight the difference between Chitamatra and Madhyamaka? So what is the main point of difference? And then on the other hand, how to bring these two views together in our own practice, in our own meditation? How do we harmonize that?
Also, well, the main difference, to be honest, is just the insistence on an existence of mind. There are subtler differences, but just the main is that is the blockage on the way. And Madhyamika do not believe in a true existence of any phenomena. Well, we do not really practice Chitamatra view at all, because if you do, you have to believe in true existence of a mind. That being said, we do borrow from Chitamatra school. There are a large chunk of Mahayana tradition that people like Jasinguchu Togme, if you have read the 37 practices of Bodhisattva, there, when he is talking about the view, he first establishes that all appearances is mind. Mind, it's like that. It's much easier, understandable, it's more tangible than saying just directly, where is the wall, where is the house? Then, binding it, all appearances mind, and mind itself do not exist anywhere. So in this way, you can say that we borrow Chitamatra view in our practices, yes.
All right, I think that's a perfect spot to end these question and answer. I'm really sorry that we will have to end and we won't have time for more questions at this point, but please stay with the Khyentse Vision Project. You can follow on the various social media places and of course the website. And I would like to ask Rinpoche, maybe if it's not too much to ask, since we've heard the teaching of the based on the translation, would it be okay if you could read the words in Tibetan of Khyentse Wangpo, so just that we hear the actual teaching by Khyentse Wangpo?
Yeah. Well, this will not be an oral transmission, but still, this is the original language that he wrote in. So for sure, there is blessing that one can receive from.
Do you want me to share the screen or do you have it?
No, I just read it.
You have it, okay.
Yeah, I just read it. I guess it's okay. Dubita Jabezus Jabashin Su Gabe Romo Sushreyanto Nimesuwe Yeshana de Tigit Nabatam Jester Dujulu, the Sambar Charles be Suditado Kella Gajurujik, the Nijina Kunta, Tado Zimbachika Tomada, Shimetulpa Ripen Nawai, Nikunsawe Mumba Jilvarasho, Yulta Yurjin Choda Tijita, Dulda Shepanit Namtape, Dini Sula Jubilodo, go Tomar Jalangalva, Majurchik, Chukun Nang Yultan, Musum Bechita, Rangi Singi Latin, Kunzo Tendam Yawai. La ke pe riksul pe mo chobo go barasho chide milam yulti nang chatar semche tak be remor ngejene de ya nisume be yeshizu jube tekcho lamla nyenjurji emma nangzu tene jongwa da ne lu trbe thale debat niga sungju kalme tokbai samje mi jab jul monjoro sho deze debe tabje tangbo yul khorde namer me be wasal da sungju jume lagu me je be chime takba taba nyejuro je sarva siddhanta bodayantu lasso. That was in the what he wrote.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche, for your explanations and the time with the Q&A. Thank you everyone for your participation. Thank you so much to the translators, Paula and Sibel, for Spanish and Portuguese. And maybe I will hand over to Dolma for the concluding remarks.
Rinpoche, I just wanted to say thank you so much. That was such a wonderful way to start this wonderful week. Really, I can't imagine a better way. What a wonderful way to pay homage to Khyentse Wangpo. And also to whet everybody's appetite for the Madhyamaka philosophy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.